Hey everyone, welcome to Ellis Mowers. I appreciate y'all watching as always. Working on a riding mower this time. Got a Husqvarna here. It is a YTH21K46. It was made in 2010. I've already looked. It is a running and cutting lawnmower, although you should probably not be cutting with it in the condition that it is in. I'll show you why here. I got this as a trade or on trade when I sold the D110 John Deere that I did a huge engine rebuild on. And so now I'm getting to work on this. I'm gonna see if I can get it to where I can cut grass with it today. And then we'll go ahead and continue to work on it to get it to be in sellable condition. So let's go ahead and get started. I'll show you everything that's going on with it that I know of. And then we'll go ahead and fix it, cut the grass with it, and continue to fix it some more. So let's go ahead and get started. So here we go, Husqvarna YTH21K46. It has the infamous Kohler Courage on it. It has the modern Husqvarna look to it, so it has those headlights. They did change them for 2021, but they used this style from, I guess, 2010 at least up until 2020. The one I've got that's my personal one is a 2016 model. So it's got the infamous Kohler Courage in it, and it has so much oil in it that oil on it. It's full of oil and it's clean. It's got so much oil that I don't know. It's probably leaking from everywhere. It does not have the cracked block like a lot of them do, which is good, which means I can save this thing. But check this out. Look at how loose the mounting bolts are for this thing, if they're even on here. I don't even know if they're on here, but we're going to look. I'm going to tighten up the mounting bolts, and it actually shook the engine so much it broke the muffler pipe off here. I have one of them as well. We'll replace that. That's an easy fix. We'll get this thing a muffler. We'll tighten this engine up. I've got clean oil in it. I'm just going to cut the grass with it because I don't really want to pull this Husqvarna out, or mine out. Runs and drives. It's got 300 and some change hours on it. I don't know exactly the number. 353.3, so it's getting on up there in the hours range. I gotta get a couple of things off, but it's sitting here in the front. All the tires hold air except for the right front. I'll air that one up, cut with it. It's got a little bit of a toe out issue. That should be an easy fix with just pulling up one of these tabs here on one of the sides of the deck spindle, or of the drag link, excuse me. So let me get down there. I mean, you can see so much oil on it. If this thing catches on fire, whoop-de-doo. Because it's coming from the valve cover gasket, so we'll address the valve cover gasket too. Just absolutely nasty. I don't even know what the air filter looks like, but it starts and runs and cuts. So I figured I can get another half hour or so out of it, and then I'll just fix it, make it look pretty again. Blades are actually decent. I think I can show those to y'all. Blades are decent. They just need a little bit of a sharpening. 46-inch 2-blade deck. This is the exact spec that I had last year, except the one that I fixed was a 2006, so it had the different hood on it, the little bit older hood. They don't have the kind of the teardrop headlights on it. So let me tighten those bolts, air up this tire, put one of these pipes on it, because that's the reason why the pipe broke, I'm positive. It just broke itself off, which I know I have one. And we'll go ahead and continue on with this thing. Alright guys, we're going to try a quick fix to make this work here. Hope it does. It's going to save me some money if I am able to. Got a 1/2-inch wrench on top, 9/16 on bottom. We're going to take this drag link off. Well, I'll get it off one day, guys. Don't lose your locking washer there. I'm going to take this drag link off. Actually, I got to turn the wheel back a little bit. Okay, I'm going to pull this out, take a pair of pliers, and we're literally just going to bend this up. Be careful though. This, I messed my hand up trying to do this because it slipped off with the drag link on. That's why I'm taking the drag link off. Okay. So bend it up just slightly. It don't need much. Now we'll go ahead and put it back on. See how the alignment is now. Yeah. Actually, looks like it's worse. So let me bend it down. See if that helps any. Obviously what I just did not. I thought it was up, but it's down that we've got to go. Okay. So we're going down. Okay. That looks to be better. I'll put this locking nut back on. Real quick, and I'll show you what it looks like. So let me put this back on, and I'll show you the alignment now. Y'all saw it earlier, so we'll see what it looks like now. Alright guys, I got a new muffler pipe on it. I tightened up the mounting bolts. It's missing the right rear one. We'll get one on there, don't worry. I put air in the tire, and I'm just going to push it out here. We're going to crank it up, see if it cuts grass. I think we'll get it to work. I'll give you all a check of the alignment because I told you it was probably going to be a little bit better. I'll get back here. You can see it's a little bit out still, but I can bend that drag link down on the left side some, and that'll probably get it about to where it needs to be. But it's more than acceptable for what I'm going to do with it right now. So, here goes nothing, I guess. The park brake doesn't work, so I'll have to drive by and give y'all a ride. the environment here, right? So much smoke from where this thing's leaking. But at least it's not vibrating anymore. Yeah, hydro works great. Just doesn't have a parking brake on it. Let's try the blades. Yep. It's just weird because it runs good. It's just leaking leaking oil like crazy. Even idles down. How about that? It's got so much oil to burn off the front of this thing, it's ridiculous. We'll get that problem fixed though. But I think we're gonna give it a shot cutting grass, and then we will yeah. We'll let it cut. Then we'll burn off some smoke, and then we'll fix the rest of it. It's all on the muffler there. So we'll fix the rest of it after I cut the grass. See you then. Alright guys, so I got the grass cut with it. Pretty uneventful. After all that smoke kind of whittled away, it's still leaking pretty good out of the valve cover gasket, but we'll get that fixed. What I'm also going to do as preventative maintenance for this thing is I'm going to take off this engine cover, and we're going to put Loctite and torque down the sump bolts all the way to their proper torque, and do what we need to do there. Shouldn't be too difficult. I've got to figure out something with this discharge flap, and then one of the tires is actually on backwards here in the rear. The left rear one is on backwards. I just need to swap that around. The back ones already have tubes in them. I need to put some ATF in the right front. But apart from that, this thing is blade sharpened as well. We'll check the air filter too. See how bad it is. I don't know if it's been changed or not. We'll give it a look real quick while we're here. I mean, it's running pretty good. We just got a lot of oil leaking from places, so we'll replace the oil filter on it as well. Well, actually, I think everything just got replaced on it, oil-wise, because the oil looks super clean. Oh boy, I think there's some rats that have been getting into this thing. Yeah, some rats that started eating out of this thing. Dang, I think I've got one of these. But you can see they've taken and chewed up some stuff back there, so I'll take the gas tank up, vacuum all that stuff out back there too, just make it look a little bit better. Because I mean, it's obvious it sat under a carport, but it did sit outside for pretty much its entire life, so it's gonna have some issues associated with that. Not surprised with the rats and whatnot. Looks like we'll look under the engine cover there. It looks pretty clean, but I mean, the thing did great. Runs great, super smooth, about the smoothest Kohler Courage I've ever had. So that's a plus. Fuel lines, fuel filter. I know the fuel system's good. A little bit of debris in the tank, but nothing crazy. So we'll see what we end up doing with this. Like I said, I know it runs, cuts grass great. Just needs a little bit of a TLC, and we'll get this thing sold. So stay tuned for that. Well, I have a helper here again. Y'all probably seen her in a couple other videos. It's Brownie. She's still with us. Park brake wasn't working. All it was the R-clip was missing to the linkage and it had fallen off. Put an R-clip on there, put the linkage back, park brake's working great again. So we can actually, you know, get off of the mower and it still work. So that's good. Blades are sharpened. I am about to give it a wash before I do the valve cover stuff. I wanted to get everything taken care of under the mower before I did stuff, before I washed it and got everything all wet to make it, you know, not as pleasant for me to work under there. So I do need to get that nest out of there as well. So I might grab either a blower or a vacuum and just suck it up real quick, and then I'll give it a wash. Y'all see this thing a whole lot cleaner. I've also leveled the deck on it. I will change this left rear tire back as well to where the way it needs to be. So I'll do all that stuff. We'll clean it up. The oil's already good in it, but when I pick back up with y'all, we're going to replace the valve cover gasket, and we're going to take this cover off, and we're going to secure all the sump bolts with Loctite. Loctite. So we'll do that next. Alright guys, we're going to go ahead and look into this air filter, or this engine cover here. $8 millimeters should get it all off for us. I think there's only 4 bolts to keeping it off. 1, 2 right over here. 3 in the back. And number 4 is right back here. And that should, I think that gets this off, doesn't it? Dipstick comes with it. So a lot of these have the issue of the bolts backing out of them right here. And we're gonna just dab a little bit of Loctite in all of them. They actually look okay. I don't see any block cracks or anything like that, which is a good thing. So that's awesome. Just for kicks, I'm going to take a wrench and just see how they are. See if there's any that are loose here. Actually, none so far. That's good. It's actually kind of amazing because usually these things back themselves out pretty regularly. Those are really tight, actually. That's great. Can't get this one in the back. I mean, they are really tight to the point I really don't want to mess with them, honestly. Get a ratchet wrench here. Let's see. Just the 1/4 inch, because that's plenty. Yeah, they're really tight, actually. That's a good thing. Alright, that's actually good. That's better than I thought. I'm not even going to worry about messing with these because it is tight. There's a little bit of oil buildup that happened over here, but I think that's just a part of it. 10 mils right here are going to get this off. The valve cover gasket's pretty loose. That's where about 95% of the oil is coming from, I think. That's actually a good sign because that means this thing will be ready for sale in the morning without having to do the whole Loctite deal on the sump cover bolts. So we're just going to take these off. They're a little bit warm. We'll put them down in the engine cover there for right now because we'll put that back on after we put this. What I do is I jack this thing up so that the oil from the valve cover does not seep out after I put the gasket on. Never done a Kohler before, but I imagine let's see, that's 7 bolts. Should have this horrendous cork gasket on it. Maybe not. Huh. Isn't this a cork gasket? Yeah, look how brittle this thing is. Leaking all over the place. At least cleanup's easy. Wipe it off with a rag. I'll put some RTV sealant on there. Seal it back up, let it sit overnight, and that should fix our oil leak. So that's a good thing. I'll go ahead and wipe off this area here. You can see, even though I've washed the mess out of it, I've still got some areas where there's oil buildup. Considering how most Kohlers are when they get to me, these Courage engines, I'm very surprised about this one. I thought this one was just going to be a vibe. I mean, y'all saw it. I didn't run it because I was too scared to with the way it was vibrating. Vibrating like it was nobody's business. We're just cleaning this off camera. Leaking oil like nobody's business, but that's just, I mean, it's just the valve cover and the sump and the mounting bolts. 2 things that that's what I've seen out of Kohlers. So neither of which are crazy. But she's still running good. So I'm going to get some RTV sealant, clean this up a little bit more, and then we will I'll seal her up. We'll catch you in the morning. Alright guys, fading light here. Brush off this engine cover just a little bit. Much better than when we started, right? This thing was absolutely nasty. Now it's much less nasty. Couple of things I still need to address. So the valve cover gasket, I have put the good stuff behind, and hopefully that'll keep it from leaking. It's still going to drizzle oil out from other places. Probably the sump gasket, even though all the bolts are tight. Valve cover, I don't know. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. Not sure. A couple of things I do need to address. I just got to grease the front end. That's pretty easy. The other thing is figuring out the deal with the chute. I think what I'm going to do, because I don't have a spring for it, unfortunately. That's the big hang up there. Blades are sharpened on it as well. I think I'm just going to take some screws, self-tappers, and just screw it down right there and right in the front. And that's about all I can do, is about like those areas right there. So that's my plan with that. We'll see what materializes with that, and then we'll be done and sell it. How about that? Really not in terrible shape overall. I see a little bit of rust on the rear wheel here. Couple of small tears in the seat. Could be a whole lot worse though. I've seen a lot worse for those Husqvarna seats. So again, about 355-ish hours, 354.1. I don't know how well that shows up on the camera there. Missing this little rubber thing, missing the little rubber thing for the park brake. But engine-wise, we're all buttoned up. Grease it, figure out this, and I'll give you all a final look and drive and whatever else I'm going to do with this thing before I sell it. Alright y'all, here it is. Finished. Could put a little bit of ATF or something on the plastics, but it really doesn't. It really looks pretty good as it is. These Husqvarnas always clean up pretty well. No paint issues like some of the John Deeres, thankfully. So, I'll tell you what I did to get everything finished up after I washed it. I showed y'all the sump cover bolts. They were very tight. None of them were loose. Seemed like they were torqued down pretty good, so I didn't bother them. I took the spindle over here and bent it down as well, just like I did the one on the right. And you can see that the alignment is pretty much spot on now, which is awesome. Parking brake is fixed. The discharge chute, ended up putting a couple of self-tapping screws in just to keep it from moving. That's honestly the best that I could do, instead of buying a spring and whatnot. And it seems like those springs and the rods and whatnot are always falling off of these things. So that discharge chute is solid in place, so that's good as well. Sitting overnight with the gasket, doing the valve cover. Obviously sitting up, there's no leaks. That's just from where I washed some things in the garage and put them back in the garage here while they were still wet. Deck is lined up. I checked that, and actually cut with it with the deck alignment as it is, and it did just fine. Blades sharpened. Everything's clean. Running good. So what do you say? You think we should just go ahead and start it up and see what we can do here? Like I said, I think this is going to be about an $850 mower. I don't have much more than about 50 bucks in it, which is awesome. Really good trade with the John Deere on this one. Cleaned up very well. I thought I was going to have a lot worse issues than I did, but luckily they were all pretty minor and just needed some maintenance and TLC. It's only so much that it needs whenever it's running and cutting lawnmower when it gets to you, you know? Running good, muffler's on it, pretty quiet. Take y'all for a ride. Again, the oil in this thing looked brand new, so I didn't even bother with the oil change. And the headlights work, I just got to plug them in. Are plugged in. there you go. Take y'all for a ride up the driveway here one last time before we send it off. Transmission's working great. Even this thing idles down well. It's awesome. So grease the front end. ATF in the right front is holding it up extremely well. It's not even leaking out after it initially sealed it. Again, the alignment about as close as I'm going to get without it being perfect, or to it being perfect. I'm going to have still going to have some smoke coming off the muffler because of all of the oil that was in this thing originally. So, but everything's dried. It's been about 16, 18 hours. The oil's coming off of here. Eventually it's going to burn itself off. So that's the only negative. Fuel filter's on. It looks like the fuel filter's been recently replaced. So that's awesome. When we get the tripod, we'll wrap this thing up. I'm really excited about this one. If I didn't already have my Husqvarna, I would likely be keeping this one. Wish I could do the transmission swap, which may be coming. I've got a candidate in the back for that. Just don't like working on my personal machines if they're working properly, or working okay, you know. So, that's it. This one's done, y'all. And I think that we're going to have a very, very good result with this one. I'm very happy with how it turned out. Again, about 10 years old. It's still got the modern look to it. Because they made these style tractors all the way up until 2020. They just changed them to a new style this year. I think it has like LED headlights and all that good stuff. So had to put a decent amount of work into this. Most of it was easy, just tightening the bolts for the engine, adding a bolt in the back of the engine, cleaning it up. It was absolutely nasty, just fixing the alignment with the spindles. The belts are in good shape. Fixed the parking brake. Put some ATF in the tire, and we're ready to rock and roll on this one. So I appreciate y'all watching. I hope y'all enjoyed this. This is why I like these, because whenever they go wrong, it's not really a lot that needs to be maintained on them. If it was an MTD, I'm sure the transmission would be kind of iffy. But since this is a Husqvarna, you got your drag link issues. That's pretty standard with these. But everything else is pretty straightforward. So I appreciate y'all watching, and I will catch y'all on the next video. Thanks as always for the support. We'll keep on cranking out the mowers here. We got plenty to work on. So I'll see you on the next one.